Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another Huddle Monday, where we come and huddle up for the change. We must continue to unite, speak up, and be the change that we wish to see in a community and all over the world. And here is where we help and unite dreamers to develop, lead, and empower. Before we get started and we pray and read our scripture, I just want to take a moment of silence for the people who lost their lives in Buffalo. Thank you. Now I'm going to call up Patrice and Megan to lead us in our prayer and scripture for this Monday. Clap it up for them.
Good evening. Thank you, Aaliyah. Scripture lesson for this evening is taken from Leviticus, the 19th chapter, verses 9 through 18. When you reap the harvest of your land, do not reap to very edges of your field or gather the gleanings of your harvest. Do not go over your vineyard a second time or pick up the grapes that have fallen. Leave them for the poor and for the foreigner. I am the Lord your God. Do not steal, do not lie, do not deceive one another. Do not swear falsely by my name, so profound the name of your God. I am the Lord. Do not defraud or rob your neighbor. Do not hold back the wages of a hired worker overnight. Do not curse the deaf or put a stumbling block in front of the blind, but fear your God. I am the Lord. Do not pervert justice. Do not show partiality to the poor or favoritism to the great, but judge your neighbor fairly. Do not go about spreading slander among your people. Do not do anything that endangers your neighbor's life. I am the Lord. Do not hate a fellow Israelite in your heart. Rebuke your neighbor frankly, so you will not share in their gift. Do not seek revenge or bear a grudge against anyone among your people, but love your neighbor as yourself. I am the Lord. Thus ends the reading and hearing and understanding of his word.
Thank you, Patrice. Okay, all hearts and minds clear. Dear Lord, please hear our prayer to cover the house of justice with safety and peace, Lord. May everyone who comes through here stay healthy and be blessed. May our huddlers, both young and seasoned, be covered by your grace and see a better day today than yesterday and a better day tomorrow than they had today. May you cover all those sick or shut in or in jail with love and wellness, and may you push away any spiritual or earthly confusion. Please send a special umbrella of safety to the community of Buffalo and to all those affected by gun violence, hate crimes, and any other kind of trauma. Lord, hear our prayer.
Thank you, Megan. Now we're going to call up Dominique Sharpton for our chair report of today. Clap it up for Dominique.
Good evening, Huddle. I'm Dominique Sharpton, and I'm the co-chair of National Action Network's Youth Huddle. Here are some of our important announcements coming from our action alerts that National Action Network puts out, releases every week. As many of you know, the fight to protect a woman's right to choose continues. Last Saturday, we were joined by Alexis McGill Johnson, who's the president of Planned Parenthood. She appeared at National Action Network Saturday Action Rally, and she appeared to discuss the U.S. Supreme Court's frontal attack on Roe versus Wade, which protects a woman's right to an abortion. If overturned, millions of women, particularly in Black and Brown communities, will be impacted by the ruling. National Action Network, led by its women leaders, myself included, remain opposed to an effort to eliminate Roe versus Wade, and we are continuing to work around the clock to protect women's reproductive rights. The history of reproductive politics in the United States is rooted in structural forms of gendered, sexualized, and racialized acts of discrimination violating a woman's right to privacy. The leaked draft opinion may not be the final order of the court. We'll find out later on in the coming months. But it is yet another reminder that abortion restrictions and bans disproportionately burden Black women, low-income people, and others who are marginalized members of our community. They already face intersecting discriminatory barriers to accessing health care existing in law and facts, and we will now confront yet another challenge. Safe abortion access is as much a racial and an economic justice issue as the right to vote is the root of all civil rights issues. If this draft is indeed passed as the majority opinion, the federally protected constitutional right of an abortion, the rule of law for almost 50 years, would be overturned. The Supreme Court would have neglected its responsibility to respect the precedent in Roe versus Wade. The authority to implement abortion laws would be turned over to individual states. Courts are supposed to follow earlier precedents to resolve current disputes, providing uniformity, consistency, and judicial efficiency, in the law. In the past, a precedent was overturned when it was unworkable or no longer viable, eroded by its opinions or changing social conditions. So there is no political condition and legal justification to overturn Roe, and it will only end access to safe and legal abortions. Women will lose control over their bodies, and without ensuring that voters have the freedom to participate in safe and accessible elections, a minority who threatens reproductive freedom will continue to block the will of the majority of Americans. National Action Network urges the Senate to pass the Women's Health Protection Act to protect abortion access from medically unnecessary restrictions and prevent the onslaught of state-level bans and restrictions and federal legislation to restore and revitalize the Voting Rights Act of 1965. So last week, NAN held a virtual town hall meeting with Planned Parenthood to discuss the issue and to mobilize around future action. NAN also recognizes Mental Health Awareness Month. Did you know that 16%, that's about 4.8 million people, Black and African American people in particular, reported having a mental illness, and 22.4% of those, which is around 1 million people, reported a serious mental illness over the past year. COVID-19 has exacerbated mental health challenges, particularly in minoritized communities. And we have definitely resources here at National Action Network where we are connecting people all across the country to our resources as we are trying to deal with mental health issues and people who are reporting that they need services for mental health issues. We also are and have been working to get out the vote in Irvington, New Jersey. This past week, Reverend Sharpton joined Reverend Steffi Bartley earlier this week to encourage voters in Irvington and Newark, New Jersey to get out and vote in the municipal election. While NAN doesn't endorse candidates directly, we encourage full voter participation. So we're not endorsing particular candidates, but we are doing a lot of efforts around making sure that people have the valuable information that they need to go in and vote on Election Day. So if you're not registered to vote, we definitely encourage you to do that. And definitely will be encouraging you to stay tuned to all of the community efforts that National Action Network will be doing nationally to help push those get out the vote efforts. Congratulations are in order for Representative Antonio Delgado, who was selected by New York Governor Kathy Hochul to serve as her new Lieutenant Governor. Representative Delgado also appeared last Saturday here at National Action Network's Saturday Action Rally to address the community. And we encourage you to not forget every Saturday and Sunday. Please tune in to Politics Nation with Al Sharpton live on MSNBC at 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. And also, if you have not done so, please get Reverend Sharpton's latest book. It's entitled Righteous Troublemakers, The Untold Stories of the Social Justice Movement in America. And you can get that right on the website at www.alsharptonbooks.com. He's got his own website for all of his books that you can go and look and peruse and pick up a copy of Righteous Troublemakers if you're interested. I'm not taking questions, ma'am, but yes, it is on Amazon. It is on Amazon, or you can just visit your local bookstore and pick up the book, okay? This is a very important time for us to be aware, especially of the crisis that we're in our community. And so we definitely, as we invite people to join us for our weekly forums, we have Huddle on Mondays, we have the Saturday Action Rally. We need to be conscious of who we are, people that are around you. And so if you happen to encounter the fact that National Action Network will be increasing our security measures around this facility and around the organization in general. So if you're acting out of line, we definitely encourage you to utilize your voice and to enjoy the forums and to really participate and engage accordingly. But if you become disruptive, or if there's something that we feel we need to address, if people are disrupting the forums, we're going to definitely be staking up on our security measures just to make sure that we all remain safe and that people feel and know and understand that National Action Network stands by the fact that we love our people, we love everybody, and we want to welcome them accordingly as they come through our doors. We don't know what people are coming to NAN for. We don't know why people are walking through the doors of National Action Network and what they may be in need of. And so we want to definitely make sure that we embrace them accordingly, but we've got to keep the decorum proper. As we know that we have a lot of work to do, we're activating, we're organizing here, and we want to make sure that we can get that work done, right? So we advise you all to please follow accordance to the decorum procedures that are in place here at National Action Network, but do engage and interact with us during our forums, because this is here, National Action Network is here for the people. Okay, with that said, I will turn it back over to our presider, and I'll see you a little later on in the program. Thank you.
Thank you, Dominique, for those amazing announcements. Next, we will have Thomas, one of our youth reps, tell us about the Black History fact of today.
Thank you, Aaliyah. Thank you, Aaliyah. Okay, good evening, everyone. May 19th marks the birth of Malcolm X. Given the name Malcolm Little at birth on May 19th, 1925. Malcolm X is remembered on his birthday in cities across the United States and in other countries for his leadership and activism for civil rights on behalf of African Americans and people of African descent everywhere. Hundreds of public forums pay tribute to Malcolm X on his birthday, but only in Berkeley, California is the date an official holiday with city offices and school closed. Born on May 19th, 1925, in Omaha, Nebraska, Malcolm was one of 8 children of Earl and Louise Little. Malcolm's father was a Baptist minister who spoke up for civil rights. He supported Marcus Garvey's Universal Negro Improvement Association, whose purposes included unifying people of African descent, whatever their nationality, improving their living conditions, founding black businesses, and establishing independent black states in Africa. Earl Little's advocacy for racial justice brought death threats from a white supremacist group known as the Black Legion. In an attempt to escape the threats, the family moved to Lansing, Michigan, but in 1929, their home was burned down. Another tragedy struck in 1931 when Malcolm's father was found deceased on the trolley tracks. Following his father's death, Malcolm's mother had an emotional meltdown and had to be institutionalized. As a result, the children were separated and sent to different foster homes and juvenile facilities. Malcolm was an excellent student and hoped to become a lawyer, but he became disillusioned when a teacher told him that a black individual in the 1940s could not realistically achieve that goal. He left school and drifted into a life of crime in Harlem and Boston. In 1946, Malcolm was arrested for burglary in Boston. He received a sentence of 10 years in prison and served 7 years there. And served 7 years. There, he was exposed to the teachings of the Nation of Islam, black Muslims. He was determined to turn his life around and became a follower of the religion and the teachings of Minister Elijah Muhammad. It was then that he took the surname X, in keeping with the Nation of Islam's practice to symbolize that a person was an ex-Christian, ex-Negro, and ex-slave. In other words, the X meant that Malcolm would no longer be known by his name, known by a name that came from a white slave owner. After he was paroled in 1952, Malcolm X became a preeminent spokesperson for the Nation of Islam, helping to increase membership by the thousands. He often bitterly denounced white domination of African Americans and was a fervent supporter of black nationalism. Even as he talked of defending others, Malcolm himself was threatened and several attempts were made on his life, including a firebombing of his home. Tragically, he was assassinated on February 14th, 1965, at the Audubon Ballroom in Harlem, New York, where he was to deliver a speech. As he stood to speak, 3 men in front of him fired guns at the same time, killing him. 3 Nation of Islam members were convinced of murdering Malcolm X: Talmadge Hayer, Norman 3X Butler, and Thomas 15X Johnson. Thank you.
Before we go further, I do want to introduce, give me a second, please. I do want to introduce Mr. Leonard Bentley, who we have tonight while we're talking about the topic of Malcolm X. Mr. Leonard Bentley, who is one of the pioneers of the movement, he's one of our lifetime members here at National Action Network. Mr. Leonard Bentley was actually in the Audubon Ballroom on the day or evening that Malcolm X was assassinated. And so we wanted to give him a few minutes to come up as we are talking about, and as our young people are learning about Malcolm X and his legacy. We want to give Mr. Bentley 5 minutes to come up and talk briefly about his encounter and the beliefs and teachings of Malcolm X, and also the legacy of what young people need to know when we hear the name Malcolm X. Mr. Leonard Bentley, please welcome him at this time.
Thank you. Abaragani, Hotep, no justice, no justice, and no justice. Well, I want to thank you. I want to tell you, young group, that I'm proud of y'all. I'm going to tell you, young group, that I'm proud of y'all. That was a nice dissertation you gave on Malcolm. Thank you. Yeah, shucks. So I thought I was going to give a talk on Malcolm. You took me out. Very good. About Malcolm. I got to get myself together here because whenever I come in these kind of gatherings. Okay, Patrice, I'll make it short. I'll make it short. Like today, like right now, to me it seems like yesterday. And every day I come in these kind of gatherings, I'm happy to be with you. And I'm proud of my young folks. Not that I own y'all, but you're my youth. See, and you're very important, not just to me, but some other brothers on my same level. And I always I hope she's not offended by Dominique. And I'm proud that you took on your heritage. Now, you sisters, I worship the ground y'all walk on. Why? Because like Malcolm said, like Malcolm used to teach us and tell us that, number one, if it wasn't for y'all, see, we wouldn't be here. Brothers, we wouldn't be here. And one of the whole life of Malcolm is a highlight to me. But one of the particular highlights, when he went to Mecca, and he did his Hajj with that, but he also met with Gamal Abdel Nasser, okay? And when he met with Gamal Abdel Nasser, he took a tour of the whole continent, which is our motherland, what we call our motherland. And he went to the pyramids, okay? Whenever you get in a conversation or a discussion with people of other than our own ethnic group, race, and they want to propound or they want to expound on their history and culture, you ought to remember now, when you go to Kemet, that's the original name for Egypt, okay? And then you look at who built that. It was a brother pharaoh by the name of Akhet Khufu. They call it hieroglyphics. You know, the original name is Merenetche. But that's what they talk at that time. So Malcolm, on his tour from the motherland, met with all of the top brothers over there. He met with Gamal Abdel Nasser, he met with Abu, he met with Jomo Kenyatta, my grandfather. And it shows well, I won't get into that. But it's just great, and I'm glad that you young are aware, that you are conscious, and that you're on the top, and you're on point, okay? Now, and my last point that I want to mention about Malcolm, when I was in California at the time, you had two big magazines. One was called Life magazine, and one was called Ebony magazine. Life magazine did a 2-page spread on Malcolm at the time. Okay? That's how I heard about him. So I had to come back home to Harlem. To me, it's capital, you know. And that's when I got to meet him. We got to go in his organization, the OAAU. And he designed that the OAAU as the OAU, the Organization of African Unity. That's when he met with Gamal Abdel Nasser, met with a lot of the brothers over on the continent, you know, getting themselves together. Then he formed two of them, the Muslim Mosque Incorporated, for those brothers, you know, who didn't want to get down with religion, who didn't want to get down with the political side of it, so they wanted to stay with the religion of Islam. So he did that. He did this organization, which is called the Muslim Mosque Incorporated. And the other one followed that after the OAU. And Kwame Nkrumah from Ghana was going to build the UN building, like the UN building down here on the west side, 42nd Street. Well, Kwame Nkrumah, he also went to school over here in this country, in Lincoln University. And that's how Malcolm got hooked up with them. So it was, anyway, to make a long story short. Thank you. I finished off with Dominique. I wanted to commend her. You sisters got, pardon my French, German, and Swahili. You sisters got a hell of a history. There's a book out called 100 Amazing Facts About the African Negro. Should be African, okay? You got Nyeri, Queen Nefertiti, Queen Hatshepsut, and the most popular, legendary one is Cleopatra. Now, Cleopatra should also rule with the Italians won't share this part of the history with you, but it was Cleopatra that also sat on the throne with Julius Caesar. Okay? Helped rule ancient what they call the Roman Empire. Okay, with Julius Caesar, there's a dynasty of the sages called three of them. One is Julius, one is Augustus, and I forgot the third one. But anyway, coming back again to make a long story short, thank you for giving me the microphone to share my little experience with y'all. And for you youngsters, I just want y'all to stay on point. And I'm proud of y'all. That's why I like coming here on Mondays. You know what I'm saying? How you know that's right? You know that's right? Yeah. All right then. So anyway, thank you. And one point I want to make this. Malcolm was adamant when we had classes with him. As we travel along in life, and as we go and explore, he said, know your history. And he was adamant about that. He used to give classes down on 2090, 7th Avenue. Teresa Hotel? Yeah. You had called Malcolm King College. That taught down there for about a couple of years. But that's some of the things he went in when he had enlightened us. And what really impressed me, one of the things, he impressed me the whole same thing, is when he went to the pyramids. Okay, when I was coming through school, I didn't know nothing about no pyramid. Didn't know what a pyramid was, much less talk about it. So, but he went there, so that inspired me, along with the group that I'm with, the other group, Dr. Yosef Ben Yakinen. He's on the mirror over there. Y'all take a good look at him. He's also one of our leaders. And he was the one who used to take us to Kemet all the time. And he took us on the same route that Malcolm had gone to. He went into the different countries and the different brothers who he had met with. And he also, he was one of the keynote speakers of this one called the Bandung Conference, that was back in 1954, okay? Along with the other brothers too. But anyway, I'm gonna come again, make a long story short. I'm proud of y'all. Platonically, I love all of y'all, you know? There you go, young sister.
Thank you, Mr. Bentley. Give him another round of applause. Before we move into our next segment, I just want to read a Malcolm X quote. I feel like it ties into what's happening right now with the hate crime that we just seen in Buffalo. He said, you don't have to be a man to fight for freedom. All you have to do is be an intelligent human being. So that's for people that aren't part of the movement but need that push. That's a quote from Malcolm X. Anybody can be a part of this movement. Anybody can take that step forward. All you have to do is be an intelligent human being, as he says. So now we're going to move into our arts and culture artivism segment with Arnold Penix and our creative contributor who is back, Daniel, with the new hairstyle. Give it up for Dan, y'all. I know that's right.
No justice. No peace. No justice. No justice. No justice. What do we want? What do we want? What do we want? When do we want it? 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 Fist bump the person next to you and tell them you love them. And that's what happens every Saturday morning at the Saturday morning rally. And of course, this Artivism segment deals with highlights creatively of what Reverend Sharpton spoke about, the chessboard and the checkerboard this past Saturday. He also spoke about mental health. So we are crazy, say crazy, for justice. Crazy for justice we are. And of course, before we go forward, we have a clip that our contributor and our Artivism contributor Daniel is going to show. So we're going to show that it's about Roe versus Wade. So you're going to be seeing some things, but it's done by a comic, a comedian, because it's called political satire. And that's how Artivism and how things are gotten across through comedy. And this person is very, very well known. Hit the lights so you can take a look. So we're going to go right to our mode. And then we're going to be crazy about comedy, crazy for political satire, crazy for justice. Daniel.
All right. What a wonderful introduction. The video is a comedy segment from Trevor Noah, the South African comedian, television host, actor, and political commentator. He is the host of The Daily Show, an American satirical news program on Comedy Central, according to Wikipedia. And we're going to go ahead and roll the video as soon as we can.
France's territory, and France did not want history to
There we go.
Years, ever since the Supreme Court decided Roe v. Wade, women in America have had the right to choose whether or not to have an abortion. And now it looks like that right is going away.
Bombshell, the Supreme Court poised to strike down Roe versus Wade. That, according to an unprecedented leak of the justice's draft opinion overnight, a decision would alter the nationwide battle over abortion.
The blockbuster story broke overnight on the Politico website, reporting that a draft of the Supreme Court's opinion shows the court overturning Roe v. Wade in a blistering ruling.
Tensions flared outside the nation's highest court after an unprecedented leak. But the bombshell report comes as 5 states have enacted strict abortion restrictions and sweeping bans, many of them ready to immediately cut off access to care.
If the High Court does overturn Roe versus Wade, over 20 states are poised to immediately ban abortion.
That's right, people. If the court's decision is released officially, abortion will be illegal in about half the states in America. Yeah, that means all across the country, women in places like South Dakota or Missouri or even Texas will have the exact same abortion rights as women in Afghanistan under the Taliban. Yeah, and just think about that. We just evacuated people out of Afghanistan, and now we're gonna have to evacuate them out of Tennessee? And isn't it amazing? After all these years of the right screaming about the threats of Sharia law, it turns out they were just jealous. Now, to be clear, Roe v. Wade hasn't yet been overturned, right? This is a leaked draft from February. It's not official. Like, for all we know, the opinion could change by the time it's released, or the justices who signed on to it in February could change their minds. It is not likely, but it's technically possible. I mean, like, who knows? Maybe Justice Alito will try ayahuasca and come back with a totally new perspective on the universe and how we're all connected. Or maybe between then and now, one of these justices will have a daughter, and then they'll understand. Wait, hold on. Oh, I'm being told 4 of them do have daughters. Oh. Okay. It's important to remember how we got here, because keep in mind that poll after poll shows that a majority of Americans don't want Roe v. Wade to be overturned. But the GOP didn't care about that. No, they didn't care about winning over the people. They just cared about getting enough justices onto the court to get what they want. Basically, they used the same tactic that friend of yours uses when they're ordering pizza. Hey, what topics does everyone want? What do you want on the pizza?
I cut it. He get ready to say something. And that's welcome to 106 and 145th Street. And that's our segment. Thank you very much. That's arts and culture.
Thank you, thank you. Back to our host for the evening, Lee.
Thank you all for that wonderful segment. That was great. Now we are going to call up Giselle to make sure that everybody are updated members.
Good evening, everybody. Is everybody an updated member for the year of 2022? No, y'all don't sound so sure. Have y'all renewed y'all membership? If not, this applies to you as well as those who are not members. The best way to stay informed and end the action is to become a member of NAN. Stay informed about NAN events close to where you live. Text JUSTICE followed by your state to 59769. And also an energized reminder to join us at the Saturday Action Rally every Saturday at 9 a.m. Thank you.
Thank you, Giselle. Now we're going to open the floor for any good news that anybody may have that they want to share with us today. I know that people are back from college. I know that you guys have some good news. Let's clap it up for them. They just finished another semester. Don't be shy now. Don't all come up for once.
How y'all doing out there? I am Lorenzo Vaughn, president of our NAN Performing Activist Troupe. And this past Saturday, I had the pleasure of working on a new rap and R&B feel music video with one of my good brothers that's part of the play Say It Loud down here on the Broadway District. So look out for the video. It'll be on IG and Facebook, and whenever it gets totally edited and all that good stuff. And you can catch me the last Friday of the month and the last Sunday of the month playing James Brown and Bobby Brown. So I won't be humping around. I'll just be getting down. All right, later.
Thank you. Anybody else with some good news? You got the Cities United shirt on. You might as well come and tell them your accomplishments. Felipe, you went to the gym today? Come on. Nia, come on. Thomas, Giselle. Nobody else got no good news? Y'all gonna act shy?
Hello, everyone. So Wednesday, Morehouse and BMCC had created a partnership. So after 2 years at BMCC, you can attend Morehouse College. It's a new pipeline they're doing, and they're having an event Wednesday, and I'll be on one of the panels. So yeah.
That's great news. That's great news. Yes, I love to hear it.
Hey, everybody. So last Wednesday, I competed in Apollo Amateur Night, and I got second place. All right. So if you're interested in coming back and supporting me and cheering me on, May 25th, which is also the 2-year marking of George Floyd being murdered. Unfortunately, it's the same day. But that night, I will be competing in the quarterfinals for Apollo Amateur Night. So come on back. Thank you.
Make sure y'all go out and support our advisor, Megan, okay? She could sing for real. That's how she got second place. She could sing for real. Anybody else have any good news that they want to share with us today before I close out this segment? Anybody? Okay, so I'll close off the segment with my good news. It's not really good news, but it's a good thing. The event that I had planned that I told you guys about with the Youth Justice and Opportunities Act, the kickoff, it rained the first date, so we have it rescheduled for this Saturday, and it looks like good weather, so I'm excited for the turnout and to see how many people come out and get involved in that bill and that campaign. So now we're gonna move on to our Did You Know segment. We're gonna bring Megan back up to talk about Brittany Griner and what's going on with her.
Okay, everybody. So this is a factual segment about Brittany Griner, the women's basketball star who's been arrested in Russia and is now in jail, and they just extended her sentence or her time there. So the title is Brittany Griner appears in court as pretrial detention in Russia is extended by 1 month. WNBA star Brittany Griner's pretrial detention in Russia has been extended. Alexander Boykov, Griner's lawyer, reportedly suggested the extension was relatively short and said he believed Griner's case could be headed to trial soon. Griner briefly appeared in court on Friday, May 13th as well. Griner has been detained in Russia for 3 months, was arrested in February after security at a Moscow area airport allegedly found vape cartridges containing cannabis oil in her carry-on bag as she tried to enter the country. Of her ongoing incarceration, Boykov, her lawyer, said, "We did not receive any complaints about the detention conditions from our client." But Griner's agent, Lindsay Kola, said regardless of Russian legal proceedings, Brittany Griner has been officially designated as wrongfully detained by the U.S. government and has been held now for 85 days. As such, and out of respect for the sanctity of sport and to support the confidence of all athletes traveling abroad to compete, we expect the White House to use all options to bring her home immediately and safely. Earlier this month, the U.S. government announced that it officially considered Griner wrongfully detained. The decision signaled that the U.S. would take a more active role in trying to negotiate and secure her release, rather than letting Griner go through the Russian criminal justice system. Nobody wants that, right? To that end, former New Mexico governor and U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, Bill Richardson, reportedly agreed to work on Griner's case as well. Richardson has worked extensively as a hostage and prisoner negotiator, recently working to secure the release of Trevor Reed, who was a former Marine arrested in Russia in 2019 and sentenced to 9 years in prison. The reclassification of Griner's case also changed the public-facing strategy of the campaign to help her. Previously, the U.S. government had advised Griner's family, team, and supporters to keep a low profile so that a media firestorm would not allow Russian President Vladimir Putin to turn Griner into an even bigger bargaining chip at a moment when relations between the U.S. and Russia are already heavily strained over the war in Ukraine. Now, though, Griner's family and supporters, as well as members of Congress, are able to speak more openly about her case and push for her release, since the U.S. government announced that she is wrongfully detained in Russia. Thank you.
Thank you, Megan. Next, I'm going to call up Trey and Giselle to tell us more about Roe v. Wade and what's going on. Clap it up for them.
Hello, guys. So our article is If Roe Falls, Middle-Class Women Won't Be Just Fine. Since the news broke that the U.S. Supreme Court appears prepared to overturn its ruling in Roe v. Wade, the landmark 1973 case that guaranteed American women the right to abortion, I've heard it over and over. Privileged women will be just fine. It's poor women who will suffer the consequences. Privileged here means middle class and college educated, and the implication is that unlike our less fortunate sisters, middle class women like me will find ways around the near total abortion ban that will become law again in Michigan if Roe is overturned. Traveling out of state or even out the country, if necessary, to terminate their unwanted pregnancies. That 1931 law that made abortion a crime in the state, allowing exceptions only to preserve the life of the mother, was never repealed, merely rendered unenforceable by Roe. So it's still part of Michigan's criminal code, and if Roe is overturned, abortion would become a felony punishable by up to 4 years in prison. Of course, it's true that if that happens, women who are already vulnerable will be the most harmed. That's how regressive policy works. And it's true that for the ultra-wealthy, barriers that stem regular folks don't tend to exist. It's not true that middle-class women will be just fine.
At its essence, the abortion question is about whether women are best qualified to make decisions about our own bodies, whether our lives are our own or subordinate to other interests. In that sense, all of us are in this fight. But let's talk about the actual numbers and what an actual abortion might cost.